Alright, so here we go. I know you guys are really excited about doing some algebra, so let's just do it. The concept that algebra revolves around is this concept of the equation. This symbol right here, I gotta turn my pen back on again. That's obnoxious. That symbol right there sets both sides of an equation equal to each other. You can use this knowledge to rearrange equations because you know that whatever you do to one side of the equation, in order to keep it equal, you've got to do the opposite to this side of the equation, or the same thing in opposite direction. It's like a balance beam, and if you do one side of something to one side of the balance beam, in order to keep it balanced, you have to do something to the other side. So, for example, that's what I said. Gotta keep it equal. You have to use opposing math functions, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and exponents roots, to maintain that balancedness. Alright, so we say that density equals mass divided by volume. We want to solve for volume in this first one. Well, what we need to do to solve for volume is get the volume all by itself. What we can do is say, alright, in order to get the volume by itself, I'm going to multiply times the inverse of m. Because remember, anything times its inverse is going to give you 1. But because I did this on this side of the equation, I also have to do it on this side of the equation. That means that d over m, because d times 1 is d, m times 1 is m, is equal to, this cancels out because m divided by m is 1 over v. Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because we're not solving for 1 over v, we want to solve for v, right? So all you have to do is take the inverse of both sides, basically just flip them around and say v equals m over d. So now if you want to find the volume, you've got the mass of whatever the thing is, you've got density, you can solve for volume. Easy, huh? Well, how do you solve for volume? If I switch colors for that, does that make you happy? It may not make you happy, but it'll make me happy. Alright, so density equals mass over volume, just like what we had over here. This time we're solving for mass. Well, you see mass is on top over here, so if we multiply times volume over here, volume cancels out, and that gives us mass over 1, which is the same thing as mass. However, because we did it to this side, we also have to do it to this side. So d over 1 times v over 1 is dv. Density times volume equals mass. Mass equals volume times density. And there it is right there. Our own little mathematical rearranging of formulas. And it doesn't get any less complicated or any more complicated than that. If you understand this logic, you understand it, my friends. Alright, now we're going to try to put this all together. And what we're going to do is we're going to follow this process. First, we're going to determine what the question is asking. So if I give you a word problem, which is what I am apt to do, I'm not going to ask you to rearrange a formula to solve for m. Well, I might do that for a couple of points, but for the most part, I'm not going to ask you to do that. I'm just going to expect you to know to do that. And how you know to do that is by you figure out what I'm asking. Figure out what the final answer should be in. Write down what you know. If I'm asking you a complicated question, it's always a good idea to draw a sketch. Figure out what formula is necessary. How do you know what formula is necessary? Well, you go back to step 1, figuring out what the question is, and step 2, writing down what you know. If you know what the question is asking, and you know the data set, then you can probably figure out what formula you're going to end up using. If you even need to use a formula, as you're going to see, I want to teach you something called dimensional analysis that's going to bypass a lot of formulas. manipulate the formula to solve the problem if necessary. In other words, if I give you a density problem, and I've given you the density, but I want to know what the mass, I give you the density and the volume, you just have to manipulate that formula a little bit to solve it. Change the formula before you plug in your numbers. Then you plug and chug. And then the very last step, and I am going to, let's see, can I highlight? Do I have a highlighter? I do. Check to make sure that the answer makes sense. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. They go through a big process, they figure out a math problem, and they do all the steps correct, but somewhere along the way they make a small error. And that small error multiplies or divides out so it's an even bigger problem. And you get to the end and the question was, how many bushels of apples should Jimmy have? And then the answer you have is 1,436,232. You know that's not right because Jimmy can't carry that many in a million years. So you say, I wonder if I made a mistake somewhere down the road. And you go back and check your math, and you did. You fix the problem, it's done with, and you move on with life. So always check to make sure that the answer that you are giving is actually answering the question and that the answer makes sense in light of the question. Okay? Okay. I think that's it. When we come back, we are going to do some mathematical problems, and I'm going to do them without notes. So I'm going to make lots of mistakes. Hope you guys are ready. Till next time, enjoy your math.